Hello my friends! I had found the basic plan of my large painting, but I did not know how to present it. I made several attempts, but it was too complicated to do the whole thing at first. I painted only the sides and in a rectangular format that I was not yet used to the return of the square. I created Connection, the first animated painting with music that I presented to the public. It is thanks to Iris Clare, a fashionable gallery owner famous for launching the new realist, including Yves Klein, that I was able to make this representation in the theatre located next to the bowling alley in the acclimatization garden, now disappeared and replaced by the Vuitton Foundation. There were more than 1,000 visitors, as Iris has so many connections, but the painting was not sold. It was after this presentation that I started to reproduce the sound I mentioned earlier. It was just after finding this drawing with central square at the end of 9 levels is 10,000 times smaller than the largest, which will have its importance later, that I met Fumi, who is still my Japanese companion. From the beginning of 1982, following this discovery, strange phenomena happened. I began to have internal visions that looked nothing like traditional iconography. They were geometric images that appeared to me after a session in what would become Extasium. I thought they were sent to me to be realized in my electronic paintings. That's what I did. But I found that while sometimes it was a good match for a composition, most of the time it didn't work. I had spoken about these visions to a Swiss friend, François, who had great esoteric knowledge. He told me that he belongs to a great Hindu sect and proposed me to join them to receive what he called the knowledge that only an initiated trainer could transmit, and which alone, according to what he told me, would allow me to reach higher planes. I was very reluctant not to join any group, but François told me that it was the only way to access the famous knowledge. I agreed to go 3 times to their premises, where the Hindu atmosphere with songs and photos of the guru did not please me. Each time it seemed as if an invisible wall was preventing the trainer from transmitting their knowledge to me, and they refused to let me. If François was saddened by this, I was, on the contrary, very happy, because I felt something much stronger, higher, waiting for me. I even agreed to go to a big meeting at the Porte de Versailles where their young guru made a speech. Not only I did not feel spirituality at the level that suited me, but I found that this guru was only saying very simplistic, commonplaces that seemed to me like childishness. François had no right to reveal what he had received, otherwise he would have received the worst punishment. But I asked him questions, and he could not say no if I got closer. I understood that it was necessary to go through the meditation that I had already heard about, without really knowing what it means, and every day I would sit cross-legged in the dark for about 10 minutes. I was well rested a bit, but I wasn't feeling any of the effects I had felt before. Some young people of the sect of François that I had met went to Switzerland in the middle of nature, and I was going to join them at the end of the summer. When I told them about the many visions I had, they were all surprised that they had never felt such things. I kept asking them questions where they would only answer yes if I got closer. Back in Paris, I sat in the dark, in a position not in an Indian-style cross-legged, but like the Egyptian statues on the arm of my sofa. Suddenly, I felt a white flame edge with blush chiseling, penetrating my head and waving in all directions inside my body. It was as if it was cleaning my envelope where the viscera had disappeared. I twisted myself in silence with the appearance of a great torture when it was only an absolute enjoyment. Later, I made the connection with the flame that the apostles received at Pentecost and that they call the Holy Spirit. Because like them, I had felt the need to transmit this energy to the whole world. The next day, I received a Portuguese friend who was the first to whom I transmitted the energy. I'll talk about it next time. Back to 1965. For the summer vacation, I was hired by Voir et Connaître, a travel agency that organized stays in Spain. Although I did not speak Spanish, I was in charge of taking care, free of charge, of the holiday makers in several hotels in Cadaquès, in the north of the Costa Brava, for 1 month. I fell in love with this small town nestled between mountains with many creeks to quiet swimming. Since I had to go to the train station every week to pick up the new vacations, I was the first to choose the beautiful vacationers who presented themselves, eager for love affair, to the great displeasure of the other boys who were staying. I was making up for all that time I had been weaned from my studies. I would sometimes go for a walk in a nearby Port Ligot made famous by Salvador Dali, who lived in an old fisherman's house on the edge of the beautiful lagoon that he had represented in many paintings. He was seen from time to time walking around with his wife Gala and an FM resembling a young Dali. He was Gala's lover, accepted and encouraged by the painter who publicly said that he had become important. There was a very nice atmosphere because we were shooting a film, Les Pianos Mécaniques, with Hardy Kruger and Melina Mercouri. With insight, I realized that it was a wink of destiny because Melina was Greek, future Minister of Culture in Greece. Above all, she was the cousin of Eris Clare, also Greek, whom I would meet much later and who had Greek importance in my life. I did some figuration at a ball where I danced with a beautiful lady voluptuously embraced. But when the director said, "Stop," I found myself quite stupid to see this voluptuousness stop so suddenly. One night, I met a little English girl who was part of the film crew. She was in tears, I bound down by their sweetheart. To console her, I offered her a midnight bath, which she accepted immediately, and we went naked to a nearby islet. There, on a small wall, we lay down to make love under the stars and the moon as a kind of offering to the deities of the night. Luckily, the Guardia Civil did not pass because this kind of activity was forbidden, and if we had been caught, we would have been in serious trouble. It was still Franco's regime. I followed the advice given to me by a German teacher at the Vauban Technical High School. In the summer, he accompanied tourists to Eastern Europe and gave me tips on how to make some money. With the help of the local Catalan representative of Voir et Connaître, I organized a paid bus excursion to Barcelona where I had never been before. My knowledge of architecture allowed me to give a lot of explanations about construction that we were discovering together, and the travelers were satisfied. We visited buildings built by Gaudi, and especially the construction site of the magnificent cathedral Sagrada Familia, an architecture that I like very much. Then it was the return to Paris.